Joining me for June 2018 prediction. So if you're not familiar with the format of how I do this, I like to do it live and I basically click open the software and we start clicking through the days and see if there's any major things that are going on inside the sky. And so as you can see around me, this is Sri Jyoti Star 7, written by Andrew Floss. I absolutely love this program. If you want to be a professional Vedic astrologer, buy 5 copies. Well, actually, you only need one, but buy 5 for Andrew. Think of buying one is like you love it, and then the other 4 are a tip. Anyway, so starting off here, of course, right here, as you see, I'm over here on the left, and over here on the left is the Vedic chart that I like to use. This is actually the Southern Indian chart, which is the technical name for it. And over here on the right is the classical wheel chart that they use in Western astrology. I like to use both because I like to see both of the aspects actually. So we're starting off here with the month of June. Let's see, of course, this is the planet of interest. It's a planet of infamy. It's a planet that's going to be running everything for quite a long time. This is Mars. Mars conjunct K2, the south node of the moon. And take a look. It's starting to creep closer here during the month of June. And then, of course, you'll be seeing later it's going to be going retrograde. And that is a very big deal. We also got Uranus here still working its way into the sign of Aries. It's going to be there for like the next 6 years. Let's see. Of course, we are in, what do they call it? Taurus season, of course. In Vedic, this started a little while ago, but yeah, the sun is in Taurus, Mercury's conjunct that, and then we have Venus here in the sign of Gemini. Let's see, Rahu and Ketu, of course, are still in the signs of Cancer and Capricorn, respectively, and then, of course, Jupiter is retrograde here in the sign of Libra. And then finally, we have Pluto and Saturn and the Moon all in the sign of Sagittarius. So, and of course, Saturn is still retrograde, and it's going to be in retrograde for quite a while. So, starting out with the first, of course, things that I didn't mention here. So we're going to have the moon transiting this conjunction of of K2 and Mars. Now, this isn't going to be as powerful as the lunar eclipse that's going to be conjunct this planet, but it's going to be powerful. Now, however, when Mars and K2 come together here, that's going to be double Martian energy because K2 in Vedic astrology really has the nature of Mars. So here we have, it's not exactly conjunct here on the 3rd, but if we keep moving forward here, let's see. So the 4th looks okay. We're starting to creep in here on the new moon. I'll get to that when I get to that conjunction. So it looks like we're going to get to this K2 conjunction here on the 8th. Okay, so when Mars becomes conjunct K2 on the 8th, you're at 13 degrees of Capricorn. Now, if you're used to the Western system, you want to add 24 degrees. So that would put this roughly about 7 or 8 degrees in the sign of Aquarius. That's kind of a guess. I haven't done the math yet. So if you have planets on this particular degree, especially in conjunction in Capricorn, this is going to be a very interesting month. I mean, there's going to be so much going on for you that whatever it's associated with the house and the houses that Mars rules, you're going to see your life take a lot of active measures. You're going to be pushed toward action. That's really what Mars is when it's exalted. It's really all about following and taking that, it's all about taking that firm action. Let's see. So we still got the Sun and Mercury here in Taurus. Okay, Venus is actually conjunct Pollux on this, but I'm not really going to get into that too much because really a planet's only relevant conjunct a fixed star when it stations and goes retrograde or stations and goes forward or there's an eclipse. You can also too rule a conjunction that a little powerful like that, but really if it's not natally aspected, a planet, or if it's not in your natal chart, a planet aspecting a chart or a particular fixed star doesn't have too much meaning, at least in the mundane perspective. Let's see, moving on here. So we're going on to the 9th. Things still look okay. Everything is still retrograde. 10th. Okay, Mercury's working its way here into a friendly sign of Gemini. So if you are a Vedic Gemini, oof, this is going to be a productive month, man. Really harnesses Mercury energy. And then Venus is working its way here into into the sign of Cancer. When Venus goes into Cancer, everything's just like, I don't know how to describe it. Oh dear, everything is just so overwhelming and emotional and stuff. Venus really takes on a very emotional quality here in the sign of Cancer. It's I don't know if it's a friendly sign to Venus or not, personally, off the top of my head, but generally Venus tends to express everything in that Cancerian, really clingy type love. Now, with Mercury here in Gemini, Mercury loves Gemini because it's ruled by Gemini. So to really get a little bit more specific about that placement, really what this is about is, I call it divergent thinking. So Geminis are able to see the very big picture, but it's very difficult for them to bring it down into conceptualization unless they have some sort of Virgo connection, or at least have some earthly qualities to it. Earth being in like Taurus, or Taurus. Virgo is also an Earth sign, and also the sign of Capricorn. So if you don't have very many planets in those, it's hard for you to take those ideas and bring it down into concrete form. All right, moving on here. So the moon is getting close here. We're getting close to the new moon. Other than that, let's see, everything is still retrograde, still moving here. One of the things too that I said in one of these in my previous videos is you want to pay attention to this Mars-Uranian aspect, because this adds extra fire, because it's almost 90 degrees here from the K2 Mars conjunction. And since Mars actually rules Aries and Uranus is in Aries, Mars really controls the Uranian agenda, at least. So, that's something that you want to pay attention to when you're looking for aspects. Let's see, other than that, Jupiter's still retrograde. Saturn is still working its way back here. It's kind of moonwalking back out of Sagittarius. All right, new moon. All right, so the new moon is going to be conjunct in Taurus, and this is the nakshatra of Mrigashira. Mrigashira is all about finding things, wanting to search. Mrigashira is actually called the star of searching in Vedic astrology, and it's represented by a deer head. So this is going to be a good time. So full moon's good for endings. New moon is good for starting. So this is going to be good for starting any new research that you want to get into. Like, for instance, if you're an academic and you want to start researching a paper, if you want to start like a new hobby that involves research, any sort of intellectual pursuits, because Mercury has a lot of passion for knowledge. So this is a very good placement for academics or people that have a very high propensity to seek knowledge. And also, too, Mercury works its way over, and Mercury's in Mrigashira too. So it has a lot of real intellectual powerhouse energy for doing research and trying to find facts and things like that. So I really like this new moon. It's a pretty good placement here. All right, moving on. So we're going to the 14th. I don't see very much going there. Things are still okay. So the sun's working its way into Gemini, and of course the moon is there. So now we're getting into a lot of Gemini energy, especially with the sun. Let's see, moon of course is transiting Cancer. That's going to add a little more oomph to things there in the sign of Cancer. It's going to make them very emotional, especially with Rahu there. Rahu, when you put that in Cancer, it adds passion to emotion. You can say that for any of the water signs too. When it's in Cancer, it's really got this real like compassionate side. I mean, Cancer is actually a fairly evolved water sign. People like to kind of diss it, but really, Cancers are very good at connecting intuitively with people. So I don't see why Cancer got such a bad rap. Moving on, let's see, the 17th, I'm not seeing anything major. Let's see, keep moving here. Okay, so Venus is almost conjunct Rahu here. This is actually fairly significant. It does happen every year, but if you got planets around 12, 13 degrees, man, and look, you got K2 here and you got Mars here. So this is on the 19th. This is going to be a fairly emotional day for anybody that has planets around 12 degrees, especially in Cancer and Capricorn. Mundanely, this really is going to affect Rahu and Ketu on the way of there's like Mars and Venus are polar opposites, so this could actually drive a lot of conflict. It's really kind of like the hardcore action type mentality versus, we need to pay attention to emotion and feelings and how people are feeling. So that's kind of how that dichotomy works. Let's see, moving on. So we got the 20th. So those are moving out. So the moon is going to start working its way to the full moon. Let's see. So sun is still in Gemini. Things are still retrograde. Moving on up. So we are getting close here to the Mars retrograde period, which is going to be a very fascinating day. Let's see. So we're almost to the full moon here in Mars retrograde. There we go. Okay, Mars just went retrograde. So okay, so Mars going retrograde in the sign of Capricorn. When it goes retrograde, it acts like a debilitated Mars. Yay! So what does that mean? Passive aggressive, trouble expressing anger, not being forthright with people. Think of internalizing Martian energy, not knowing how to express it. Then all of a sudden, So really like Mars in Capricorn retrograde behaves like Mars in Cancer direct. So that's kind of how that energy works. So yeah, that's going to be somewhat difficult here. Now, the moon here is actually going to be full, and the full moon is going to be conjunct a retrograde Saturn here. You can't see it here, but when you so the moon is going to be full here on the 27th, opposed Sun and Saturn. That's also another rough aspect. Sun-Saturn opposition is really all about having difficulty finding your individuality versus the group identity. So anybody that has planets that are going to be around here and opposed to the Sun and around the Saturn-Moon conjunction, that's going to be tough. This is kind of like when people rage quit their jobs or because they might be part of a team and they can't really seem to fit in, but they want to be part of the crowd, but they're never really comfortable inside a crowd, and so they're always trying to they're trying to make themselves feel like they need to be an individual. So it's tough energy to really reconcile, and so really this is actually a difficult full moon. This is a lot more difficult than the new moon. So yeah, this full moon in Sagittarius is really, there's going to be a lot of like self-righteous action, and really not knowing where to go with this individual versus group mentality. So yeah, so really the 27th is going to be a day that people are going to want to watch out for, especially if you have planets around 11 degrees. So if anything's going to be, let's see, going to be 90 degrees or oppose these or conjunct this, it's going to be difficult, just to say like. So that's a day that you need to pay attention to. Other than that disastrous outcome, things look pretty great. Let's see. So we're going here to the 28th. I'm not seeing much. So Mars is working its way back here toward K2 here, and they're actually going to be moving backwards retrograde in formation. That's going to be pretty tough for the summer. Let's see. So Mercury's working its way here into the sign of Cancer. Mercury does okay in Cancer. I don't think the Moon and Mercury are friends, but it's not the worst placement for Mercury. Let's see. And then we're getting to the 30th, and I think, yeah, there is no 31st. So, yep. So yeah, that is my June forecast. So yeah, it looks like the full moon's going to be difficult. Pay attention to the retrograde on the 26th, and also pay attention to when when K2 conjuncts Mars in that sign of exaltation. So yeah, this is actually a very active month. There's a lot of stuff going on, and it's also going to be a very active summer. So take care of yourself and really pay attention to some of these conjunctions, because they can be difficult if you don't know how to handle them. And of course, like and subscribe. And of course, and if you want to book a consultation with me, the link is on the front page. Or if you want to send me an email and want me to cover a particular topic, it's nobsyoga@gmail.com. I don't email myself too often, so I just tend to forget that. All right, so have a great day, everybody, and stay well.